Today's episode of Gaze at the National Parks is sponsored by TrueFire.com, the planet's largest and most comprehensive selection of online guitar lessons, according to Guitar Player magazine.
TrueFire's interactive learning tools and massive library of over 50,000 video lessons help guitarists ignite their technical skills, harmonic knowledge, rhythm playing, and soloing. Over 2 million guitar players worldwide learn, practice, and play with TrueFire. Using TrueFire's desktop and mobile apps, guitarists work with multi-angle HD video lessons on any device, anytime, anywhere, and at their own pace. TrueFire's style-specific learning paths guide guitarists every step of the way. Use the assessment tools to find your starting point, then follow the lesson recommendations, and track your progress as you work through your personalized TrueFire study plan.
And TrueFire's educators are the best in the biz. From Grammy Award winners to world-renowned artists, TrueFire students have access to an unparalleled faculty of over 300 top-notch blues, rock, jazz, country, and acoustic guitar educators. Guitar players can progress faster with private one-on-one instruction, group lessons, multi-track video jams, live streams, song lessons, premium tracks, and so much more. With thousands of 5-star reviews from amateur and pro players alike, you'll find yourself in good company with the world's most comprehensive guitar learning platform.
So grab your guitar and ignite your musicality. Visit TrueFire.com and use code GAZE for your free 30-day all-access trial and 50% off your first purchase. That's TrueFire.com/gaze. And that's GAZE, G-A-Z-E. If you look for it, every day has cause for celebration.
Celebrate a friend for their promotion,
Wedding,
new home,
or celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm.
Hey, it's no easy feat, especially if it's the big couch.
Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2022, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits conveniently delivered from Drizzly without leaving your couch.
Drizzly is the #1 app for alcohol delivery. It is the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits with delivery to your doorstep in under 60 minutes.
The convenience!
If you are getting ready to have people over and you just don't have time to run out to the store, Drizzly can deliver all the beer, wine, and spirits that you may need right to your door in under an hour.
Right now, Drizzly is giving all new customers $5 off their first order with the code FAST5.
So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's Drizzly, DRIZLY.com, and use the promo code FAST5 for $5 off your first order. While I was driving down here to your place, something happened.
Listen, it's okay. We all fart in the car.
No, that certainly happened multiple times.
Yeah.
But while I was driving down, when I have to drive down to your place, I take a road that goes through a lot of woods.
Yeah.
And I've seen tons of birds in these woods all the time. For those who may not know, I did finally just embrace the fact that I'm a birder and went for it.
You've leaned into it.
I've leaned
in.
in.
I've helped along with that happen.
You have.
I've allowed it to come to life.
You have.
In a big way.
In a way, enabled it.
Yes,
I
have enabled.
It's
That's
true.
the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Through some beautiful birthday gifts, which included the official birding journal and also some binoculars.
And some birding flashcards.
And right.
So you could learn your birds.
So I've been doing that, right? Been identifying the birds in my neighborhood every day, and I love it. I go out for my little lunch break during work, and I walk around, and
little lunch break.
My little lunch break,
Yeah.
and I identify birds, and that's what I do. But on the drive down, this gigantic bird flew right in front of my car, and I could tell, I was like, oh, it's got that little arrowed out like tail feather. I think this could be some kind of eagle. And it also had really long legs. And I was like, I'm pretty sure this is some kind of eagle.
Yeah.
Because like there's a ton of turkey vultures around here that are really big too.
They are gigantic.
They're huge.
And
scary. And like they
raptors
are easily mistaken for eagles, but they're not eagles.
No.
This thing flew in front of my car, was also headed in the same direction, and then it flew off and landed on a branch like right on the side of the road, and I turned and looked. Bald eagle.
There you go.
Bald eagle. First week as a birder, seeing a bald eagle. That's pretty cool.
It is cool. Yesterday we saw a ton of birds, though.
We saw a ton of birds.
We got our mallards, the Mr. and Mrs. Mallard.
We got some European starlings. We definitely got pigeons.
We did see a black swan or a black goose of some sort.
I think, and flying above us.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, we also saw a ton of pigeon.
We did.
Yeah.
The common pigeon. And
yeah.
seagull. Did you mention
the laughing
seagull?
gulls? Yes.
The laughing gulls.
Yes, or seagulls, as you know, that's what they're referred to mostly.
Right.
But yes. But you also are quite good at the identification, but not of birds.
No, I lean into my plant,
That's right.
based life.
You are. You do.
That is something that I would like to be even better at, because I tend to landscape a lot and move a lot of my plants around at my house because, sometimes something doesn't work. My friend's mom said, all your plants have suitcases because you move them so often.
It's true, though.
It's true.
Like, anytime you're working in your yard, you're like, I'm moving these over here and I'm moving these over. And I'm like, okay, great.
And you know what? The amount of time I've moved things, and I'm in a pretty good spot right now. I've lost maybe 1 or 2 plants in the 8 years that I've been planting things.
And
in my yard.
the 17,000 times you've moved things.
Right, exactly.
Right,
yeah.
Right. That's a pretty good ratio.
Yeah, but I do feel like, there is a lot to be learned out there in the natural world. And we were so incredibly fortunate to get some identifying practice in when we were hiking in Glacier.
Looking for adventure, I want to follow on the trail, or get a little lost and let the wind fill my sails. Get up when the stars still fill the sky, don't wake the sun. There's so much to be done, and the day has just begun. Go where the postcards are real, you can feel, you can open your eyes and open your heart when you gaze at the national park.
Follow you there.
At the national park. At the national park. Follow you, I'll follow you there.
We would like to acknowledge, while hiking in the land, also known as Glacier National Park, that we are on the traditional and stolen lands of the Blackfeet and Tanaka people. The way that we had come into today was to do a billion things. It was our plan to be real kooky about what we were going to get done.
Well, I don't know that our plan was to do a million things. We did know we had this epic hike planned with Becky Lomax, but we had some time on our hands, which is why we did the Hidden Lake Trail.
Right, but that ended up being a billion things, I feel like.
Oh.
Stacking our day to the brim.
It did.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I think we had gotten information that morning that we're going to be there at this time.
Yeah, so that gave us some extra time.
It gave us some extra time. So
Right.
then that meant we ended up stacking.
We did, a Peloton workout.
We did, right.
We used the
didn't
stack feature.
Go into Peloton is not an official sponsor. I don't think they need
No.
I don't think they need any help.
So basically, we were able to do Hidden Lake because Becky and her friend Cynthia, who we were going to meet, were driving in from West Glacier, Kalispell area, and it was going to take them some time to get in the morning. Initially, our plan was to hike Avalanche Lake and Trail of Cedars with Becky, but because of our flat tire incident, that needed to be changed. That plan was scrapped because Becky was like, oh, you should do this instead if you're coming in, and you want something small to do that day.
Yeah.
And she's like, I actually have a better hike for us, and we'll do it together on this day.
Yes.
And we're like, okay, great.
And so we had prepared for that, and apparently this was one of Becky's favorite day hikes to do.
Yes. So after getting out of the madness that was Logan Pass and its parking lot, we were
Which
going to...
was not the craziest when we came in,
No.
but as we were leaving,
No.
it had turned into the nonsense that this was.
Right. We basically had to drive down to essentially St. Mary Lake to meet Becky and her friend Cynthia, which is very close to the east entrance going to the Sun Road, basically right where we were staying.
So the hike that we were doing is considered what you call a point-to-point hike, meaning it's not a loop and it's not a there and back. We were starting in one place and ending in another.
Right.
In order to be able to do and see all the things we wanted to see, that ended up being the best case.
Yeah.
Becky had mentioned that it's really great to do this, especially when you have two cars.
Right.
So we were meeting them at the ending point.
Yes.
They were leaving their car and then getting in our car. And then we were driving to the starting point where we were going to park.
Right. We'd previously done a point-to-point hike in Haleakala, essentially the Sliding Sands Trail. In order to do that trail, you essentially park at the bottom of the trail, and then you need to hitchhike up to the summit. And unfortunately, in our hitchhiking experiences in national parks, we are 0 for 2.
0 for 2.
So, but funny enough, we got to meet the lovely Casey and Carrie, who were from New York. They were East Coasters as well. And also the only other 17 printmakers, only other 2 out of 17 printmakers in the entire world.
Right.
Right.
Because Mike majored in printmaking in college.
Mm-hmm.
And there have only been 17 other people who've majored in printmaking in college.
Mm-hmm.
And so
we are the
Casey and
Illuminati.
Carrie were both printmakers, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yes, they all knew each other.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, essentially. You knew the same
It was
circles.
like weird circles, yeah. So we had already, in our time in Glacier, met Becky's friend Lou and her niece KT. So we were excited to meet Cynthia, who it's someone that Becky hikes with fairly regularly.
We were able to pull up and find a spot right behind Becky and Cynthia when we were pulling up to St. Mary's Lake. It was so great to see Becky again, and it was so fantastic to meet Cynthia. They got in the car, and then we got on the road to go to the parking spot at the beginning point.
Right. So we had to move that car to the second point of the trek, which typically when the shuttle was running at full capacity, this is what Becky told us, you would be able to shuttle essentially between these two locations. But the summer that we were there, that shuttle was only running to limited stops. So these stops were closed at the time.
It was going the entire length of the Sun Road from one entrance to another, but it wasn't doing all of the stops in between.
Yeah. So this is something, if you're interested in doing this hike, you don't have 2 cars, it's something to definitely look into, because you could park at one spot and get the shuttle back, or you could just shuttle between both spots and not involve your car at all.
Or hitchhike if you if you want to try it.
Yeah. You know what our track record is. The shuttle is probably a great option when it's running, because it was a little bit of a squeaker to try to find parking, not where we parked the car at the end or where we picked up Becky and Cynthia from at Sunrift Gorge, but at Piegan Pass, it was a little bit trickier to park because it's on a curve there.
It's on a hairpin turn.
Yeah, it's not great.
I would have been fine driving this.
Sure.
Here at this spot. Really, probably I would have been fine driving anything Logan Pass to the east entrance. It was a little bit easier. But yes, we met Becky and Cynthia and picked them up at Sunrift Gorge. And then they got in the car, and then we drove up to the trailhead for Piegan Pass. Mm-hmm. This is at the hairpin turn where we had to find parking.
After we were able to get a spot, we geared up and made sure we had everything we needed, because we weren't coming back to the car at all. This was going to be until we were driven back at the end, basically. And we crossed the road and headed up onto the trail. The trail sort of starts at like a river.
It does.
Right
it
there,
starts at the edge of a creek.
Yeah.
That's right. And it was this gorgeous, beautiful rushing water.
Yeah.
You could hear the sounds of the rushing water. It was lush green right here.
Right.
So the brown sign at the start of the trail says Piegan Pass. Mm-hmm. And this first section of this trail is called the Sayi Bend. And it is 1.1 miles. It's a little bit of uphill, but it's essentially taking you up the hill,
along the river,
along this creek
yeah,
to connect you with another trail.
Right. You sort of it's up, and then you kind of cut back, and then it's kind of like an S curve, essentially.
Yes, to the right.
Yeah.
While we're walking along, the growth to the sides was lower.
Yeah.
And at the highest point was maybe like up to our hips.
Yeah.
On either side.
Yeah, but lush and green.
Lush, green, some wild flowers on the sides.
Mm-hmm. But there were also a lot of dead trees that were coming up above the growth. And these were not like, oh, this tree recently died, there's still needles on it. It was like, this tree has been dead for a while. It was like kind of a ghost tree.
A beautiful start to a trail.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's pretty early in the morning, even though we started technically later, because it was probably around 9 o'clock at this point when we actually got on the trail. There's a decent amount of folks right there at the start of the trailhead, but it quickly thins out as you go up through Sayi Bend. It honestly for the rest of the trail, the entire time we're on this, I think we saw like maybe 15 to 20 people in total, like the entire rest of the way.
Yeah, it's true.
It was really spaced out.
A lot of the sections of this trail that we're doing on this day are often done as there and back trails. Or perhaps done like through trails on a through hike, one point way over to some other point.
Right, yeah.
So technically, we could have parked at Piegan Pass and done everything that we're about to do and added a little bit more to make it a loop. That would have been very long and very epic. But starting from Piegan Pass, making our way all the way up to Sai Pass and then down back to going to the Sun Road is going to take us 3 episodes.
Yeah, because a lot happened and a lot more than we expected in the time, because this is a pretty epic sort of trail. There is a lot to take in, even just in this first part that we're doing. There's definitely the middle episode is going to give us something very special
very special and
unexpected. So there's our teaser for that.
Yes.
So stay tuned. As we start to like go up away from the river, you do this pretty quickly and you head up into some elevation into the woods. Once you're past the undergrowth and the dead trees, you kind of get right into the woods, and this is where elevation starts to happen pretty quick.
Yeah.
You're gaining pretty quickly. And there are a lot more dead trees in this area along with living trees. And I questioned Becky about that because it's clear it isn't fire. And we talk about 2 potentials for the dieback that's here. One of those is bark beetles, which you can hear all about in our trail mix titled Bark Beetles from this season. And the other, which she told us, is temperature fluctuations. So here's the science as it was explained to us. Essentially in the winter, when trees go into hibernation mode, they draw a lot of their moisture and sap inward and sort of close off their capillaries to protect them from frigid temperatures. And when there's a warm series of days or a warm wind that comes into the valley or wherever these trees are, the trees are like signaled, oh, spring is here. Let's release things back out into the rest of the tree. Like, I'm ready to like come out of hibernation mode. Essentially what happens is then that warmth is really sort of like a false warmth, and the northeastern part of the country we refer to it as a false spring. And
no, we call it fool's spring.
Fool's spring. And essentially the temps will usually dive again and cause the trees to go into shock, or in some cases explode because of it, and then they die. Global warming.
Right.
Welcome to the
Mike's
House of Doom.
favorite thing to talk about. Yes, the doom.
Uh-huh.
It's true. So I wasn't privy to this conversation because you were chatting with Becky.
Right.
Gosh, this is my favorite thing about trails and hiking with other people is that you end up in different conversations at different times and things just flow, right?
Yeah.
They just end, you know, there's no sort of like, I've spoken with you for a while, I'm going to go talk to the, like, it's not about that.
No, it's just how you end up hiking.
It's just how it happens, and I love it. And it's like how kind of nature intends, right? So you were chatting with Becky at this time. I was chatting with Cynthia. Cynthia and I immediately connected. We're having such a great chat. I was telling her about my work in the theater and how I was working, also looking in other industries at the time. And she was telling me that she has a background in dance and how she also is working in real estate, how she came to Montana, or this area of Montana, and how she ended up meeting Becky, and how they are now like outdoor. I mean, they're friends.
Yeah.
And they hike
outdoor
all
besties.
the time.
Yeah.
Right. This was another moment of just instant family. I loved meeting everybody connected to Becky Lomax, because when Becky had stepped away, there was a moment where everybody came up to us and they were like, she's the kindest, sweetest, most wonderful person.
And that was only reinforced like every day.
Every day.
Time
and we were like,
her.
That's what we thought too. Yes. Yes, we agree.
Yeah.
We agree.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's exactly what we felt always.
Yeah.
And we felt that was true of all of her friends
of
as well.
Course.
So Cynthia, instant family.
Yeah.
We had such a blast hiking with Becky and Cynthia on this day. We encourage everybody. Some people love solo hiking, and that's great, but also hiking with others.
Yeah.
It's
just
where
meeting
it's at.
people on the trail too.
And just meeting people on the trail.
Trail friends.
Trail friends.
We are kind of, as we continue to hike up here, it sort of starts to get warm. This whole trek is sort of a gigantic, like, do I keep this jacket on? Do I take it off? Oh, it's cold again. I have to put it back on. Because it was an overcast day, and there were points where it was really, really really cold. I think you had learned your lesson from the day before about your tights and throwing it.
Oh, I had worn... No, I was not wearing tights.
Oh, that's right. You weren't
still
wearing
not wearing
tights.
tights.
That's right.
I had not had them on.
That's right. For Hidden Lake.
Right. Because I'd left them at camp.
Right.
Right. So
because I
didn't have
rushed
them.
you out.
Right.
Right.
Things I don't remember.
Yeah.
But okay.
We do end up hiking through and over a bunch of different streams. There's a ton of stream crossings as we're gaining this elevation. What I loved about not just hiking in general with Becky and Cynthia, but what I really truly treasured was the fact that we were privy members to the Becky Lomax Wilderness School. The both of us, I think, ate this up like you wouldn't believe.
So much. Yes.
Becky is incredibly humble about this. Like, please tell me to stop if you don't want to hear any of this. But we were just literally soaking it all in. And she has such an intense knowledge base about everything in the park. And she was also like the plant identifier that I just dreamed to become one day because she could point at this and be like, this is this, and this, you can use this, or don't eat that. Like, it was, her knowledge comes from obviously living and breathing Glacier, but also guiding in the park and in the region for so much of her life. And it is incredible. And it was truly a beautiful thing to be able to have that. You don't get that all the time on the trail unless you're well versed in the plants and ecology and the wildlife at the area.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely eating it up.
Mm-hmm.
We had taken the 1.1 miles of Sayi Bend up to our first intersection and turned left. This part of the trail, which had been through the woods, crossing streams, seeing other trees that had fallen down, it was a lot of like forest along the side of a hill.
Mm-hmm.
Then suddenly it would open up and there would be fields on the side, and then there would be forest again. And there were always some amount of flowers along the edge of the trail. This was ultimately taking us to another intersection.
Another juncture of what would be Sayi Pass and Piegan Pass.
Yes, where we could either choose to continue toward Piegan Pass or where we could choose to head toward Sayi Pass, which would be another 2 miles up to Sayi Pass. And in this juncture, we headed right.
And with that, let's take our first break. No one has a business like yours. With all its strengths and challenges, to succeed, you need a hiring partner that adapts to your needs. You need Indeed.
Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Finding great talent doesn't have to be a second job. You can hire faster and better with Indeed. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all.
Find great talent faster through time-saving tools like Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed Data US.
One of the things I really loved about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy because Indeed does the hard work for you. When you pay to post a job, Instant Match shows you candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your description immediately after you post so you can hire faster. As someone recently in the market for a new job, it was a real comfort to know that my skills, talents, and interests were being matched with the perfect potential employers for me.
Even better, Indeed's the only job site where you only pay for applications that meet your must-have requirements. Indeed is an unbelievably powerful hiring partner, delivering 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined, according to Talent Nest 2019. So join the more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast.
Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/gaze. This offer is good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/gaze.
Again, that's Indeed.com/gaze, and that's GAZE. Terms and conditions apply. Pay per qualified applicant, not available for all users. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Our next partner has a product I literally use every day. I started taking Athletic Greens because I was concerned about heading back into the classroom and having enough energy to get myself through the day. As a teacher, I'm on my feet all day long. There was also concerns about my immune health being in the classroom again, especially during the time of COVID.
I've also started taking Athletic Greens. As somebody who takes vitamins every day, I wanted to start using AG1 so that I could get all of my vitamins from one source instead of a whole bunch of different supplements.
One scoop of Athletic Greens is 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right.
This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging.
So we both started taking Athletic Greens, also known as AG1, this past winter, which helped to give us both a leg up on flu and cold season. Personally, I take Athletic Greens in the morning after I've had my cup of coffee. I mix it into a 12-ounce cup of cold water. It gets me set for the day. It's great at not only giving me energy in a high-demanding school environment, but helping me with my rest and recovery at night.
I also take AG1 like that, or sometimes I'll even throw it into a protein shake, and it adds some great flavor.
AG1 is a small micro-habit you can do every day to better activate your body and mind. Made from the highest quality products and based on the latest science, Athletic Greens is recommended by professional athletes and trusted by leading health experts.
Whether you're vegetarian, on paleo, on keto, AG1 is great for any diet because it is gluten-free, nut-free, dairy-free, egg-free, and there's no added sugar.
Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health.
To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/gaze. That's athleticgreens.com/gaze, Gaze, to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, so we're playing a new game called Love, Hate, Tolerate. First of all, I just want to say this. I have a bit of a trigger when it comes to the word tolerance, because I feel like in the 90s, especially regarding queer people, there was like, we have to teach tolerance. And it's like, no, we have to teach acceptance, honey.
Right.
Like, tolerance is not what we're here for. We're not here for like saying like to ourselves, like, I don't really like this and I don't think this is okay, but I'm just going to let it happen. That's tolerance. No, get out of here. No, people are people. We accept them, right? So Love, Hate, Tolerate is a game that is not about people. That is about themes, events, things that, because all people deserve acceptance, obviously. So we're playing Love, Hate, Tolerate. I would like to start with condiments. Love, Hate, Tolerate condiments.
Oh, Love, Hate, Tolerate condiments. Okay. Well.
Okay.
I
mean,
love
you love
mayonnaise.
all condiments. Yeah.
I mean, I do. I am an equal opportunity eater of condiments, so this will be a hard one for me.
Okay.
I love mayonnaise. I hate... You know what? I love pickles, but I hate relish. Like, there's no room in my life for relish.
Okay. You're
nonsense. Get out of here.
Okay, great. And then what do you tolerate?
I tolerate... God, this is so hard for me because I really, even relish was sort of like, I kind of like relish. I'm just making it up now. But it's like on the lowest part of my totem pole for, me. And I tolerate creamy peanut butter.
Oh, interesting.
It's really not a condiment, but here's the thing. If I'm going to do peanut butter, it's going to be crunchy. And like, I'll tolerate it. You know this from hiking together.
Yeah.
Well, I got creamy peanut butter. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to say, I...
Also, let's put peanut butter, mayonnaise, and relish together and see what happens.
I'm out. Goodbye.
You're
you
across
can do
state
that on
lines.
your own.
You're across state lines
that's
at this
right.
point.
You know what it is? I've talked about this before. I don't love chaotic food. Yeah. Chaotic food to me is like, no, I'm out. If I can't figure out what it is and what's in it, like, I'm gone, right? And I find crunchy peanut butter to be chaotic for me because I'm like, for me, I feel like peanut butter is creamy peanut butter, and then crunchy is like this. Crunchy was created for people who were handed peanut butter sandwiches and they were like, well, there are peanuts in it. Shouldn't there be some, pieces of peanuts around? Like, that's what I feel like crunchy peanut butter was made for, was for people who were like, oh, well, I want a crunch in my peanut butter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, then just go eat a bag of peanuts. Like,
well,
that's
I think
my feeling
my
on it.
solution there is if it's going to be creamy peanut butter, then I want some cheddar goldfish, and I'm going to put that on the sandwich.
Okay,
too.
well, do you,
Because
because that is
if
very
you've never
good.
done that, it's great.
Great.
Put potato chips on a sandwich.
Right. So condiments. Love, hate, tolerate. I'll start with the hate. I mean, I could list many, but we're going to start with just...
I would like a plain hamburger with nothing on it, just the bun. I'm not going to say that's
hamburgers.
How I eat with Dusty when we go out.
Okay, first of all, I don't have that tone when I order things.
I don't know. I'm going to film you the next time.
Sorry about it. I don't. Okay. All right. I am the most dramatic, but sorry, no, I'm not that way. Mm-hmm. I'm only that way with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how he orders me when I make hamburgers at home.
So I hate mayonnaise, like straight up mayonnaise.
Girl,
I'm out.
You've had some exposure therapy though. Through
I have
potato salad and coleslaw that I make.
I will tolerate aioli.
Okay.
If there's some kind of like spiced aioli that has like been made and put on a sandwich, that I'm like, okay, that it's fine. It tastes good, right? I do love ketchup. Mm-hmm. I don't eat ketchup all the time, and I eat it very specifically. I'll eat it with French fries, and I will eat it on a hot dog, but I have to, when I put it on a hot dog, like you'll see it. I have to say, I think the cruelest thing one can do is assume how people will put ketchup on a hot dog. Let people do that for themselves. When people put ketchup like down the sides between like the hot dog and the bun so that it just soaks into the bread, get out of here. What is wrong with you? That's monster behavior. I'm out. No,
this game is called Idiosyncrasies.
I like a hot dog where it's like squiggled in a squiggly design,
artisanal
design down the hot dog. That's my favorite kind of way to eat ketchup on a hot dog. And yeah, it's going to touch the side of the bun, but like putting it like, the idea of like bread dipped in ketchup, no thank you. And that's love, hate, tolerate. So here we are on the trail. We have taken the Sayi Bend for 1.1 miles. And then we've turned left, and we are on the trail for 1.5 miles, headed toward what will eventually be a fork that we could either choose to go further toward Piegan Pass or to the right towards Sayi Pass. So we're on this 1.5 mile stretch.
Mm-hmm. So we definitely cross another creek, and we get into more of a meadowy area with more open areas and less trees on either side of the trail. We're definitely a little bit more grouped at this point and less in our like hiking pods that like Becky and I were in and you and Cynthia were in. We're sort of like all together. Becky does mention this app called Peak Finder, which we thought was really cool. She was like, listen, if you're going to the Tetons and into Yellowstone, it would be great to have this. And it's sort of like the astronomy app where you're able to point your phone at the sky and it'll tell you like, oh, it's this constellation, here's this star, here's this planet. It's like you can hold this up, it'll geolocate you and be like, this is this peak. So that was really neat. This gives us a little bit of an opportunity for a short water break and more wilderness school education.
We take a moment and we talk about the grizzly bear attack that had happened in Montana that week, which, sent both of our mothers into a tizzy. But didn't your mom call about that? I thought she did.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Separately, you could hear both of us on the phone when we had service. It was like moms would call, and separately in two different conversations, it was like, yeah, that happened in the southeast part or the southern part of the state. Yeah. It's really far away from us. Yeah. Yes, there are grizzly bears. No, it didn't happen around here. Yes, we're aware. Yeah. Because unfortunately, a woman had left her food out in her tent.
And then moved it back into her car.
But the smell was still in her tent. Grizzly bear ripped into her tent and ended her life, which was really tragic.
But it's something that can happen. So.
It is something that can happen.
Yes.
But really, the theme for this entire hike this day with Becky and Cynthia was about wildflowers and identifying wildflowers along the way.
Yeah, and we were tested several times along the trail.
I loved it.
It was like, oh, okay. It really did feel like on the spot. But we talk about glacier lilies, which are edible. The actual flower is edible, not the bulb, but the grizzly bears do dig for the bulbs. They're an early source of food for them when they come out of hibernation. So there's definitely a photo of all of us trying glacier lilies. This also piques our interest on things that you could eat on the trail if you were in a real bind, and it also added to our wilderness survival learnings as we kind of went along.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We continue a little further up, and then we run into the first group of people that we see on this Piegan Pass trail.
And it's like a giant group of I would say it was 8 women that were hiking.
Yes. They knew
Becky.
They knew Becky. And they knew Cynthia. One of them knew Cynthia.
But it definitely felt like Becky was sort of like the mayor of the town. Like, oh, hi, it's so good to see you.
Yes.
Just like from living in the area for so long. I can't remember if those folks were through hiking or not, but it looked like they had bigger packs on.
Oh, no, I think they were just...
Yeah, it was just a day hike.
It was day hiking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After we chat and hit that juncture, we just assess where we're at. And apparently, looking at it again months out, Piegan Pass would actually basically take you right up to Grinnell Glacier.
Yes.
That's essentially the terminal point for it.
And it would
link us up, basically.
It would connect to that area we were hiking in
Mini
Glacier.
Yep.
So it's like a total connecting trail there.
Yeah.
It's long. It's like 11, I think it's 9 more miles from this juncture to get to Grinnell.
Yeah.
But I want to do that next time. That would be so
That would be
fun.
real cool.
That would be real cool.
Yeah. But we were not headed that way. So we were going to head to Sayi Pass at the trail juncture. So instead of going straight or what would be left, continuing on this trail, we hooked a right. And that was our take onto the trail that we were headed on for basically the rest of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
We were now headed towards Sayi Pass.
Mm-hmm.
This area soon becomes like a much larger valley area. We're still moving. I would say like all of this section of the trail was slightly uphill.
Mm-hmm. It's not as bad though.
Feasible,
once you get to this juncture,
uphill.
It becomes like a very not a lot of elevation gain. It's less elevation gain.
Less elevation gain, relatively flat, which was nice.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a reprieve because
right.
We did have some big elevation at the beginning, and we were headed towards some larger elevation gain. Yeah.
Now, Becky had mentioned that we were doing these specific trail connections on this day because it was the easier way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because had we done it in reverse,
oh God,
the incline would have been like 25 times as worse.
And we would soon figure that out. Yeah.
So as we were walking through this more open area on this 1.5 miles, right? Which this 1.5 miles felt very quick, mostly because it was flat.
Yeah.
But we were going through lots of, it felt more open than it felt closed.
Yes.
We were walking through, seeing some like gorgeous, the sun is pouring in on these like beautiful meadows to the right and left.
Little ponds that are there.
Oh, yeah. It was just perfect.
Yeah.
And it's like warming up a little bit at this time.
A little bit.
And then like there would be taller trees and there would be some shade and whatnot. And that's what this section really was.
More open than like forested, but you do hit some foresty areas on this section.
There's patches of forest.
And so we get to this patchy tree area or this tree filled area of this trail, and Becky and Cynthia were like, so this is a great bathroom stop because for the entire rest of our hiking day there really isn't a spot that's going to give us any sort of cover to use the restroom. This was sort of like a great stopping point. So, a lot of things were talked about here, including just a little bit of bear awareness. So, shouting out, hey bear, or, as you're going into the trees a little bit to make use of nature, making sure you're making your presence very well known. And that's something that Becky was periodically shouting anyway when we were into foresty areas. Hey bear, like pretty loudly, just to give that notification that we're there.
The other reason why is because we started seeing some bear holes.
Right.
Some holes where bears had been digging in the ground for something.
Yeah,
most
could have been
likely
bulbs.
Bulbs, a burrowed animal, who knows. We also talked about bear bells with them and how it's sort of like, the illusion of safety.
Yeah.
But they're not loud enough to
no.
really let a bear know that you're there.
No.
So Just use your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sing out, Louise.
Right. And
Yeah,
unless
use
you're,
that big voice.
unless you're, dressed as Bert from Mary Poppins with his band outfit.
Right. Exactly.
You're not going to scare any bears away.
Right.
Right.
We do take a restroom break in this forested area. And then finally we arrive at this creek.
Mm-hmm.
And the creek, Becky tells us, is going to be a great sort of spot to have a snack, not lunch.
Yeah.
Lunch is coming later.
Yeah.
This is a great place to sit and snack for a minute and recharge because we're about to enter some incline in a minute.
Yeah.
We did have to walk across this creek. This is the most sort of rushing
And wide
creek that we had seen. It wasn't rushing in the way that like felt unsafe, but it was definitely.
But it was moving.
It was moving.
Yeah.
There was water.
Yeah.
You couldn't like raft in it or anything like that. It was water moving over boulders.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of something to remember when you're stepping on rocks that are in, a water thoroughfare, right? This is a great place where you can use your hiking poles to test a rock before you step on it.
Yeah.
Because what you don't want is to put your weight on a rock and have the rock
Slide from under you.
you, and then now you're sliding down the creek, and now you've hurt yourself.
Or you're just wet and cold.
Right. So, and if you don't find one, then walk back and try another way, right? But this is sort of where the bouldering mindset comes in for me. Like when we would boulder when we would do indoor climbing at the climbing gym. Bouldering means there's no rope, and it's more about just solving a problem. You want to get from point A to point B using only certain holds. This is where that mindset really applies for me, is especially crossing this kind of thoroughfare, because it's like you want to make sure that you have enough coverage for your feet to get across, and you want to make sure that you test them. This is a beautiful view from where we are. We can see peaks on all the sides.
You can see Piegan Mountain and, where Piegan Glacier is tucked in. You are also at this point sort of nestled between Mount Sayi and Matapahi Peak. So those kind of frame the valley for you, which is beautiful. After we cross that stream, we take a seat on the other side, a little further up from the trail, and snack a bit. This is where it gets very cold again because the wind comes off the water and it's sort of rushing down the stream. So it's definitely always layer on a hike. That is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, or at least have the available option to layer or delayer, because you never know what the weather's going to bring, especially when you're hiking at this elevation too. So yeah, after sitting for just a bit and snacking and taking our first real break, we continue up along this trail a bit more in some relative flatness.
At the very beginning of this next leg of the trail, because now it's relative flatness and it's total openness. There's no more woods around. We are literally about to, because we can see them, there are switchbacks up ahead. We can see that they're coming, and we're hiking up literally the face of the side of a mountain.
Right. We do see a lot more wildflowers in bloom as we're walking just in these wide open spaces, and it's a definite contrast to the first part of the trail, which is mostly woods. And this is sort of where Dusty and I flip-flop, and I end up hiking with Cynthia for a little bit, and you end up hiking with Becky, and I get a chance to talk to Cynthia about, because she is not only someone involved in theater, but someone involved in art, and she was a watercolor artist, so we got to talk about that, which was really, really great. And I think you guys were talking about wildflowers, because we were hunting for a Jones Columbine. That was something that Becky was really interested in trying to see.
She had given us an assignment to keep on the lookout for a Jones Columbine. Right. What we were learning a lot, what I took away from this day, is that alpine flowers are very specific and that there are often alpine versions of flowers we've seen before.
Sure.
Whereas a lily or something might grow really big when it's subalpine or down closer to, the ground or sea level. A version of that flower can grow in an alpine environment, but it'll be much smaller. And so we were seeing a lot of that.
Yeah. As we continue to hike, we, see to our left that there are these two lakes, which Becky told us were unnamed. They're not named on the maps either. So, and they're sort of at the base of Mount Saihi. And then we see what appears to be a pile of gravel to our right. And it turns out that pile of gravel is sort of what we're going to be switchbacking our way up.
And with that, let's take our second break. This name is inspired by literally this moment on the trail, this flower that Becky introduced me to. We were looking at them and I was like, what is this flower? And she said, It is a, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage,
Silky Facilia.
Silky Facilia. So she goes, isn't that a great name? And I was like, sounds like a drag name. And she was familiar with our show. And she was like, oh, you have to have this in Drag Corner at some point. I was like, oh, it's there. It's happening. And here we are.
So we've been saving it.
We've been saving it, Silky Facilia. So the Silky Facilia plant is purple, and it can easily be maybe confused for other purple plants. There were quite a few purples,
yes,
like along this trail all day. But Silky Facilia is sort of cone-shaped. It has these long sort of, what are those, stamen that come out of the center, and they have like little yellow tips, and then have a 5-part petal that comes out of the center with like a lighter purple.
She's a complementary color queen. She got her yellow and her
yellow
purple.
and purple. There you go. Silky Facilia.
She loves the Vikings, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Lakers because those are the colors.
Or LSU.
Or LSU. There you go.
Right.
She's a sports team queen.
Now, I'm pretty sure Silky Facilia wasn't the flower that you could like touch and smell, and it had that really cool smell. That was something else. Becky would be able to tell us. I don't remember which one that was, but there was
Well, there were chives. There were wild chives on the trail.
And
I ate
right.
one of those.
You did.
Yeah.
There was another one where like the smell was so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Silky Facilia was beautiful.
I feel like Silky Facilia is like a noir queen. She's like, come over here, big boy.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So she's like a 1940s transatlantic dialect queen.
She's like living in a lounge life.
See, I feel like she's in black and white, except, you know how they sometimes have black and white with one color?
Sure.
But the one color is purple.
It's very like prominent and important whenever you see the purple.
And important. That's
it's
right.
Like, ooh, this means something.
That's
Symbolism.
right. She, right. I feel like her merch is like, well, I feel like purple silk has to be involved somehow, but I do feel like she might have like seeds that you can plant, flowers.
I also feel like she's like a perfume, like that she hawks.
Oh, so she's a fragrance.
She's a fragrance.
She's
queen.
a fragrance line.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, so she's got a fragrance line, and she's making that happen.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. I'm into this.
Yeah.
I'm into this idea.
What will she lip sync?
I feel like it has to be some 1940s period song, or like in the style of, maybe she sings live. I think she's a lounge singer. Okay, great. She sings something.
Some Ella Fitzgerald, maybe.
No, what I think she does is she sort of does like a big band cover of Ain't No Mountain High Enough.
Okay.
That's like what I think she does.
Like a jazzier.
Like a jazzier.
Slow jazzy.
No. Big band is like.
Fast, upbeat.
Like a, yeah. Exactly.
Like an all that jazz.
But the end of that song.
Yeah.
Not the beginning of it. I mean, it might start slow, but it builds because it's a big band number. It's like meant to get people dancing, swing dancing, perhaps.
Yeah.
So I feel like she does that. And she's got fragrance. That's sort of, a la the smell of Silky Facilia.
I feel like there's a very like floofy boa involved in her act too.
Yeah, and I think the floofy boa is probably the shape of what the flower looks like.
Oh, I like that.
Into that, right?
Sure.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Or maybe she's got one of those. I always loved those like winter hats that are like just a giant floof on the head.
Oh yeah.
But it's the
cone of the flower.
The cone of the flower. That's what it's made
costuming.
to look like.
Look at you.
I know.
Life.
I know.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Silky Facilia.
So here we are now looking at this pile of gravel to the right, going like, okay, we have to go up this. You are hiking with Cynthia, I'm hiking with Becky.
Right.
And Becky had said, y'all go on ahead, I'm going to be slow. And I was like, hi, I'm slow too. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
We were going at exactly the same pace, and it was great because I was like, I'm not interested in going fast.
Yeah. And Cynthia and I were like just up the hill.
Scoot. Boop,
but I was definitely like,
that's
oh God.
Y'all.
I had like a little PTSD moment from the overlook. Because it was a very similar sort of like, here's this gravel pile. That's where you have to go. But you know what? Switchbacks, folks. That's where it's at.
What was true, I felt, of these switchbacks was that these were only kept up by people's feet.
Yeah.
This isn't like wide trail switchbacks. These are just like almost desire path switchbacks. It's hard to kind of even see them. Like when you're standing on them, looking above, saying like, okay, where
it's
are
all
they?
the same color.
Everything's the same color.
Yeah.
You can't really identify where people, like where you're even going to put your feet.
Until you get to the point.
Until you get there.
That corner, yeah.
So you just sort of keep walking in front of you into whatever makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And from where we started on the valley floor to the top, we were going to end up gaining about 600 feet of elevation, and again over a decent number of switchbacks, so thank God for that. This is also like where we're like spotting, is this a Jones Columbine, is this it, trying to figure it out, because I think if I remember correctly, Becky was like, it's a very small window for when they bloom, and we may have missed it already.
That's right.
But I'd like to find it because I want to photograph it.
Yeah. But we were seeing a lot of other flowers along the way.
Yeah.
We were seeing paintbrush.
Mm-hmm.
We were seeing some more silky Phacelia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some other stuff.
Yeah, it was great.
There's some other stuff, but if I mention it, it may spoil the Jeopardy that I've written for this episode. So
great.
I'm going to shut my mouth, and you'll just have to wait until we get there, everybody.
Okay, wonderful.
Spoiler. This was still a relatively tough section, but the views are, you're able to look back and see the valley as you're going up for most of it. And it's really cool to be able to have this elevation perspective of where we were below. Like, we just were able to have our own separate chats and be able to really get to know that person that we were hiking with a little bit better, which was really cool.
Cool.
I got, talked so much about art with Cynthia and just technique, watercolor technique. And again, just a lot about her life and how she got out there. And Cynthia's a realtor in the Kalispell area. So I remember her being in a kind of a jokey manner. Well, if you're looking to buy a house out here.
Oh, we'll definitely
call Cynthia. Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
What I thought was the most special about this particular trail in this moment was the 3 spectacular views.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Eventually, it's what?
So, and I've never really gotten that before anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as we're hiking up, Becky and Cynthia both say, turn around and look behind you so that you can see, because that's Piegan Pass.
Well, the Piegan Mountain is in the back.
Mountain is in the back.
In the background.
And this incredible view.
Uh-huh.
So that's view number 1.
Yeah.
And you have to see that, take photographs of it from up there.
Yeah.
Because as you keep going, that view is going to disappear
yeah.
from, behind you. So we saw that and we continued up the switchbacks, which I would say these switchbacks were certainly tough, but I would not even compare them to the day before.
Oh, no.
Or the Highline.
Yeah.
That
Overlook. Yeah.
That was something else. So this was certainly, some uphill that slowed me down for a bit.
Yeah.
But we eventually caught up to you all.
We did, yeah. As we get a little higher, we also see it becomes a little less like a gravel pile and a little bit more green for a bit, like you're kind of coming up the crest of a hill. And there's these long bands of stone that are up there. And this is where we get our education on what moraine is and how glaciers, as they retreat, kind of drag stone with them and essentially leave these long wakes of these stone piles that end up being banded. As we get closer to the top and reconvene, again, eventually that green goes away and we're back in this rock pile gravel pit area. But you get to see all this, as you're getting to the top, like Dusty was saying, you get to see another view.
This view is of Boulder Valley, which is kind of like a bonus view that you get on this, because basically we make our way up to the top of the switchbacks and then we have to curve over to the right. Mm-hmm. As we curve over to the right, Boulder Valley is off to the left, and it's just into infinity. This gorgeous
another valley view, basically.
Valley view with these peaks sweeping up to the right and left. Mm-hmm. This is where we get some red.
Oh, yeah.
There was, red, orange, brown in the peaks. And also there were the gray peaks over to the right, and then the red peaks over to the left. I mean, it was
stunning. It's
stunning in a way I've never experienced.
Yeah. As we continue further up, we also see this giant cairn, I guess, at the top there. If it's not a giant cairn, it's just a giant pile of rock.
Oh, it is a giant pile of rock.
There was a guy that came up, there weren't that many people. There were a few people behind us on the switchbacks that had sort of kind of caught up with us. And then I think they didn't even make it to the top, or if they did, they turned around. But there was a guy that came up behind us, seemingly out of nowhere, had shorts and a t-shirt on, or I think it was even a cutoff shirt, had a tote bag with him and not hiking shoes. And he was like, "Can you take my photo?" We did. And then he was like, "Okay." And he turned right back around. Like,
This was so quick. I don't even remember this guy.
Oh, yeah. I was like impressed by the fact that he had hiked with just that. And we talked a little bit about hiking preparedness after this encounter for sure. And obviously to each your own, but this is it's not a simple hike by any means.
However, here's where things were looking up for me and my,
your lifestyle.
Love, hate, tolerate of incline is after this, there was no more incline that we were going to be doing.
Wow.
Everything was going to be decline.
So we thought.
Let's put this section of this hike up and around and down Sayi Pass on the Karen Stone scale. So we're talking Sayi Bend. We're talking that part of the trail that led us to
Sayi Pass.
Right. So this was in total 4.6 miles. Sayi Bend was 1.1. We turned left and we walked 1.5 to the fork. And then we turned right to head towards Sayi Pass. And it was 2 miles in total, all the way
through the valley and
through the valley, across the creek, and up all the switchbacks to where we saw Boulder Valley, and we saw that giant Karen. And that was 2 miles. So in total, that was 4.6. So this 4.6 miles, what would you put this on the Karen Stone scale?
I would say it is a solid 7 for me. I feel like it was challenging, but not anywhere beyond like a 7 for me. Like I enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought it was a great trail. Part of me is like a 6. Somewhere I'm going to say a 6.5. I've never given a 0.5. So that's what I'm going to do. A 6.5.
I think this is a solid 7 for me because it's definitely on the
incline.
It's between the moderate and difficult world, right?
Yeah.
It's living in there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's nearly as tough as that Grinnell Glacier overlook off of the High Line at all.
No.
In any way. No. This was way easier than that.
It's just obviously a longer stretch than that.
This is a longer stretch. And obviously there are these switchbacks. The switchbacks are what they are, but they don't last for that long. And if you go this way, hopefully that's the majority of the uphill that you're going to encounter. So I'm going to give it a 7.
Great.
So that's 13.5 out of 20 Karen Stones.
There we go.
And let's end this episode the way we end to all of our episodes with some Jeopardy style trivia.
Dusty, why don't you go first today?
Great. Okay. So my category is called April Showers Bring May Flowers, but with a twist.
Okay.
Okay.
So we've written a similar category then, perhaps.
Maybe, but I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So in this category, I've taken the phrase April showers bring May flowers, and each answer contains a month and then a word, then the word brings, and then another month and another word.
I got it.
And those 2 blank words rhyme.
Okay.
So for
flowers
instance,
and showers.
like flowers and showers rhymes. So here's an example. If you were to end up not doing well in the brackets during this month-long basketball event in this year's 3rd month, it could explain your melancholy in the 4th month.
What is March Madness brings April sadness?
That's right.
Which is usually
also
my binge
I
style.
think your new drag name is April Sadness. Just saying.
There we go.
Okay. For 100, this phrase might be uttered if you marched in the summer queer parades during this month and ended up with blistering sunburn in the next.
What is June Pride brings July tan hide?
Ooh, close. What is June Pride brings July fried?
Oh, there we go.
Right. Okay. For 200. Also, I put these in chronological order to help you. Right. For 200, this is the phrase we could say if the temperatures in this summer month were so intense that you were simply debilitated by it while starting school in the Northeast. I have written a kryptonite category, and that's...
Well, I got the first one, so I'm like, is it August heat?
Correct.
Okay, bring September...
Debilitated.
What brings September beat?
Oh, you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah.
I was thinking September defeat.
Okay.
But I'll take
okay.
beat. Great. For 300.
Okay.
This phrase may be said if you were shopping for a costume of the grizzly or polar variety during this month so that you could create frights in the next.
What is September bear brings October scare?
That is correct. Okay, for 400.
If my time in Provincetown has learned me anything.
You've not been there.
No, I haven't. I was just making a joke, but now the audience knows.
Right. Maybe
Right.
you can come soon.
Maybe I can.
For 400, perhaps this phrase might be used if your thankfulness during this holiday that glorifies colonization changed your outlook, perspective, and demeanor in the following winter month.
What is November Thanksgiving brings?
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Your thankfulness.
Oh.
No. That wasn't a question. Another word for
What,
thankfulness.
gratitude?
There you
What
go.
is November gratitude brings December attitude?
There you go. For 400, you got it.
Beatitude?
And for 500, this is the phrase you might say if elective facial plastic surgery to perhaps make one look younger was given to you as a present over the holidays and you scheduled the procedure right after the new year.
What is December Botox brings January detox?
Oh, that's great, but incorrect. We were looking for what is December gifts bring January lifts.
Got it.
There you go.
But seriously, we need to talk.
Great.
Okay, great. That was
Now
a good
for
one.
your
I love
category.
that. Well, I didn't want to talk too much about wildflowers because this category is called Wildflower Generator. It's sort of like a before, during, and after, but not really. You're going to basically name an actual wildflower based off of the clues.
God.
I'm giving
okay.
you clues, though, okay?
Great.
So, all right. For 100, if you take this vernal season of renewal and new growth and combine it with how Belle is described in the title of the Disney film about her interactions with the brutish creature who keeps her captive, you'll get this white flower with pink stamen, which blooms 2 to 4 weeks after the snow melt and whose bulbs are early food for grizzly bears.
What is spring beauty?
That's correct. Look at
Okay.
you. You got it.
Great.
All right. So this is how this is going to go.
Okay.
You seem less than thrilled, but that's
No,
okay.
I'm excited.
I really
That
enjoyed
was
your
a really
category.
good. That was okay. Somebody's projecting. Okay.
All right, for 200. If you take this, the absence of all color in art or presence of all color in science, and add this, a large natural elevation of the Earth's surface rising rapidly from its surrounding area, and add this, an early term for a doctor or medicine person, you'll get this urn or bell-shaped flower found in subalpine meadows.
Are the first two words White Mountain?
That's correct.
Okay, and then the last one is a word for a doctor or a nurse.
An early term
An early term.
for a doctor or a medicine person.
What is a White Mountain witch doctor?
No. What is a White Mountain healer?
Oh, okay. Great.
Sure.
But a White Mountain witch doctor,
We could make that flower.
we can make that happen.
All right, for 300, if you take this, either the name of Allison Hannigan's character in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or the title of a 1980s fantasy film starring Warwick Davis and Val Kilmer, and added to this a slang term for marijuana, which could also describe sage, parsley, or basil, you'll get this pink flower found growing in sand or gravel near the edge of a river.
What is Jenny Herb? I don't know.
What is willow herb?
Oh, willow.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
What is Jenny herb?
Sorry.
Clearly not a Buffy the Vampire guy.
I didn't watch
No.
Buffy. No, I'm not a Buffy.
Or
guy.
a fan of the movie Willow, which is great.
I think I saw it once.
Yeah.
Okay.
For 400, if you take this, a northern region of the planet whose name means presence of bears, and add it to this, a term that means wolf or wolfish, or is also close to the last name of Harry Potter's teacher who also happens to be a werewolf, you get this purple flower which develops in stalks and whose flowers turn to seed pods once germinated.
What is an Arctic lupin?
What is an Arctic lupine? Yes,
Oh,
very
lupine.
good. There
Okay,
you go.
great.
You got it. And for 500, take this, what a rolling stone does not gather, And added to this, a place you might be sent for the summer as a kid that has hiking, tent sleeping, and other activities. And added to this, an atom or molecule with a net charge due to the loss or gain of one or more of its electrons. And you get this cushion plant with pink flowers that grows close to the ground where no trees can grow. This was a flower we talked about on the trail a lot because we saw a lot of it.
What is a dirt camp compound?
No.
Great.
What does a rolling stone not gather?
I don't know that phrase.
You've never heard that?
No, sorry.
Okay, so
we didn't say that in the
What grows
South.
on the north side of a tree? Typically in nature.
On the north side?
Yes.
Honey, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have to wilderness school you. What is a moss campion?
Oh, campion? Oh,
Yes.
an ion.
Yes.
Oh, we did talk about moss campion the whole time.
A rolling stone gathers no moss. I can't believe you've
Wait,
never heard
moss
that phrase.
only grows on the north side of a tree?
That's like the wives' tale. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Well,
Now I know.
now you know.
Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Right. We saw a ton of moss campion.
We did.
Oh, an ion. I got it. I get what you were doing.
Who wrote a kryptonite category for who?
This has been Gaze at the National Parks, the podcast, and we're here to remind you to hike early and hike often, and that adventure is always out there.
Gaze at the National Parks was created and is hosted by us,
Dustin Ballard.
and Michael Ryan.
To see images from this episode, follow our Instagram at Gaze at the National Parks. To contact us, email us at gazeatthenationalparks@gmail.com. And to find out more about the parks visited on this show, visit our website, gazeatthenationalparks.com. That's Gaze, G-A-Z-E.
All original artwork featured on Instagram, on our website, and in the Gaze Shop is by me, Michael Ryan.
All original music was written by Dave Seaman, performed by Dave Seaman, Mariella Klinger, and Sean Sklios. Our music producer is Skyler Fortgang. This episode was edited by me, Dustin Ballard.
We would also like to acknowledge that while recording this episode, that we are on the traditional and stolen lands of the Lenape people, also known as Ocean County, New Jersey.